Well, hey there, Heike Yates here, and welcome to another episode of the Pursue Your Spark podcast. Today, I am sharing an interview where I was the guest, and that was with the 24 Carat Conversations with Phyllis and Rhoda. They are two best friends that decided to start a podcast for real women with real issues. They are here to encourage, inspire, and offer hope in a life that can seem unrealistic. And they asked me to come on the show and share my wisdom and my take on life, fitness, passion in life, and the empty nest, plus self-care, and what's important to us in midlife, and so much more, and how we pursue our spark in midlife. So I hope you enjoy this interview with Phyllis and Rhoda.
Welcome to 24 Carat Conversations with Phyllis and Rhonda, where two best friends decided to start a podcast on real women, real friendships, and real issues. Our mission Bible verse is Job 23:10.
Yet he knows the way I have taken, and when he has tested me, I will emerge as pure gold. We want to encourage, inspire, and offer hope in a world where life can seem to be unrealistic. Be a support for you to cheer you on as a wife, mother, daughter, sister, and friend.
Most of all, you get to relax and laugh with us about all things women.
Plus, we like all things sparkly.
Oh, yeah. Well, hello, peeps. We are back for another episode of 24 Carat Conversations. And today I'm interviewing Heike Yates. And she is a friend that I met on Facebook through,
amazing.
It was so crazy, we're both in a Facebook group called the ASA Collective. And it's a hub for women podcasters. And Heike she has a podcast called Pursue Your Spark. And she was asking for older women some advice and stories. And so I connected with her, and I was thrilled when she reached out. And so I actually was interviewed by Heike last month, I think it was, and our episode's going to be out in January, I believe.
Correct.
Is that right? Yeah. And so now Then I said, well, I want to hear your story. And so we invited her on here. And Heike, I want to just say welcome. And first of all, love your accent. I know you're German, correct?
I try to hide it, but yes, it is. I'm from the
No, don't hide it. It's beautiful.
From Bavaria. I mean, after being in the States for over 30 years, it's still, some of the sounds just don't come out the way the American English sounds. So, oh well.
That is awesome. Do you have family that still is back home?
When I came here 30 years ago, I am the one in the family who is or has the travel bug and the adventure spirit. And about 32 years ago, I decided I needed to leave Germany, get out of the narrow-mindedness that the German culture has. Mm-hmm. And it's not obvious to people who visit. Mm-hmm. Everybody thinks we're very orderly, which we are. Everybody knows that we're very organized, which we are. But it was just time to spread my wings and live somewhere else. And I honestly picked the United States because I always wanted to marry a cowboy.
Oh, that is so cute.
Well, Phyllis is married to a kind of cowboy.
I'm married to a rancher.
Let's just say he's more cowboy than my husband is, that's for sure.
That's so cute.
And, of course, I didn't know what the heck is a cowboy.
Exactly.
I was thinking Bonanza, the cool, sexy cowboy dudes on the horses and the cool farm.
Oh, yes.
And when I came here, it was like, oh, he's a farmer.
Oh, exactly. Different kind of cowboy, huh?
Yeah, I'm like, probably not exactly what I thought, because when I grew up, I grew up in the country, and I had plenty of country there.
So funny.
But so I came here by myself because none of my family members, including my younger brother, are that adventurous. Wow. They like to be in their area with their friends. They like to travel on occasion, but they're not willing to really go out and just adventure and be fearless and brave and explore the world. And that's what brought me here to the States. And when I came here, my very, very first job here was working for the Foreign Service, and I worked for the German Embassy.
Oh, wow.
So I had a job that meant, I'm not going to be an au pair. I'm not going to take care of somebody's kids. I was 23. And that didn't go well with my travel books. Nah, I'm not taking care of other people's kids. But so I had the job at the Foreign Service, and I had money to help me find a great place in Georgetown, which is in Washington, D.C. So you had access to all kinds of nightlife.
Oh.
And that's when I met my first husband, which I have 2 children with. My son is 30. He lives in San Francisco.
Oh, wow.
So here in the
about to
Bay.
move to Europe. Yep. And my daughter's 27. She actually just turned 28. And she is currently living in Belfast, Northern Ireland.
Ooh.
And she has my travel bug. She's been on the road for the past 2 years all over Europe. So, and, we don't get to see each other that often because they live far away. But this year, and this is brand new, ladies, we're going to Mexico City. That means my oldest son, my son and his wife, and my husband and I, my second husband, we will meet in Mexico City for Thanksgiving because that's our thing.
Oh my gosh. You know what? I love that. We did Hawaii one year for Thanksgiving, and it was the best Thanksgiving I ever had in my whole life. I was like, there's no stress. It was very low key. So more power to you. That's for sure.
Yep. We said, you know what? We got to do something because if you wait, we get older. They get older. They have their own life. They may have their own kids at some point, and then they have their own little community. And I told my daughter that we will not visit her this year, but she's not off the hook. Next year, Mama is coming.
That's awesome.
Oh my goodness.
The good thing with grown kids, too, is they're a little bit more fun, too, than they were when you had to pack them up and take them on a vacation. So we did a Hawaii trip with my grandson and my daughter and son-in-law and my youngest daughter and my husband, and we actually had the best trip of our lives because everyone's in a good place right now. So I hope you have that wonderful time, too. Have you ever been to Mexico before?
I've been to Cozumel, so the outskirts, but not to Mexico City, so it'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I hear Mexico City is amazing. I've never been. Yeah, I'm Mexican, and I've never been to Mexico City. How's that work? I've been to all the tourist places, but I haven't been there. So you should have an amazing time. I hear it's beautiful there.
Yep, that's what I hear, and I've investigated. I have a friend who still lives in the city, in Mexico City, and I said, honey, we're coming. Where should we eat? What should we see? And how dangerous is it?
Yeah,
and
sure.
And it's a true. What you hear is true. And she said, you go to this neighborhood, you do not go to this neighborhood.
Right.
And today I asked her about, hey, I just heard about pickup at the airport is really sketchy. And I heard somebody told me today, oh, you have to call ahead for a driver and pick you up. And I said, is that true? And she said, no. You just go with a certified taxi. You don't go with any guy that says he's a taxi.
Right.
Has to be a certified taxi. And she said, don't call an Uber. They don't know what they're doing.
Oh, that's funny. Oh my gosh.
But they give me an opportunity to practice my Spanish again. So
there you go.
I've gotten really rusty. So I'm looking forward to it.
You know what, Heidi? I'm rusty too. It means I don't speak it, which is really pathetic, okay?
Well, you're getting that.
Senora.
I understand it, but I can't speak it, which is horrible. I know.
That's great. You're getting some of the travel bug out in you, so that's good. So, Heike, what's the personal story of pursuing your spark? Like, how did you come about with the podcast and the purpose behind it?
So I've been in the fitness industry, in my same niche, fitness, nutrition, and mindset, for 30 years. And I have my own private studio where I see clients. But you only can see so many people within a day. Everybody wants to come at 8 o'clock in the morning, but you only have 1 hour to see somebody and help somebody with their fitness needs. So I said, heck, I got to figure out another way to reach out more to specifically the women in midlife. And I always think of, now that I'm going to be 59, as midlife being a broad range, anywhere from 40 on up. I'm like, what up is doesn't matter.
Darn it, I'm in midlife, I guess.
Rhonda's a part of that club now.
Yeah.
And it's now that everybody is on their phones, online, it was almost a no-brainer to say, okay, I got to take a brand online. Mm-hmm. But I wanted it to be somewhere different, somehow different than, and what I initially started out with is I wanted to work specifically with women in menopause. Mm-hmm. And I, after doing this for about 6 months, building my online community, building a website, and that was before the podcast, I just didn't love it. I thought it was so single-minded, and I felt that menopause is just part of us aging. It doesn't define us as women and what we're going through. Yeah. It is just a part of a life, and for some people, it really is horrible, and they need medical advice, which I can't give. Mm-hmm. And I thought, this is just part of it, but what else could it be? So we're pondering on the name plus. We're 50 plus, women over 50. And I'm like, that makes us sound old.
Yeah. And I hate that.
We're not old.
We're ageless. We're vibrant. Yeah. We're spunky and young, and we're young in mind. And we're not like our parents used to be.
Right. So that's so true. Yeah.
Let's put the menopause aside. Let's not even think about the menopause. Let's go into something that I really love. And I named my second brand Clutter, which to me meant, as a German as you can imagine, meant everything from nutrition to health to mindset. Everybody thought about it in terms of cleaning your closet, organizing your shoes. Mm-hmm. And I was like, that's not either. Mm. And it took me 3 years to come up with Pursue Your Spark, because I feel that all of us need to, have to. It's something that sits within us, and sometimes we don't unleash it. Unleash it is the spark that sits there, and it just needs to be ignited. And then we reach the goals that we want, whether it's getting in better shape, eating better, being happier, or when the kids leave, like the kids are in college, many of the women feel that they have nothing to do. They're lonely.
Oh my gosh. Heike, we get this so much. This is, okay, you need to speak on that alone, because we have so many women that we see on Facebook, their kids are going to college, and they're like, I want to crawl in the bed with them and never let them go. And I'm thinking, no, this is the time when you get to come alive. Mm-hmm. Like, you've raised these beautiful kids, go let them fly. So talk more about that.
So it's, when I see this, it's these women have, just as many women, just catered to their children, just catered to their husbands, and that took themselves on the back seat. And they say, oh, I don't need to look good. I don't need to get a haircut that often. I just make sure that my kids have a food. I run to the school all the time, or I don't need a vacation. It's all for the kids. And they are all left behind because they cut themselves out of the whole deal. Yeah. And said, I'm a nothing. I'm a nobody without my kids now.
Yes.
And that is years that is so true. I mean, I totally agree with that. I mean, I think a lot of times when that's all that they've been doing for such a long time, they begin to feel guilty for doing something for themselves, or they kind of lose what they want to do. Like, what do I love to do? You know, is it painting? Is it hiking? Is it doing a podcast? You know, they lose it. And I gosh, yes, I agree with you 100%.
And that's when the spark comes in. And I want women to not lose themselves. If you love your kids to death, go for it. I love my kids to death as well. I mean, that's the most important thing in my life,
of course,
no matter what. And they will always come first. But that's not healthy for us women if that happens to us.
Right.
And that's where the spark comes in. Come on, find that spark. Dig around a little bit. Do a little bit of mindset work. Connect with other women. And find that spark that sits there, and don't be afraid to ignite it. Yeah. And that's how Pursue Your Spark actually came about. It's something positive. It's not oh, you're in menopause.
Right.
Or, oh, whatever it is. But it's like there's positivity, there is light at the end of the tunnel, there is goodness, there's happiness, and there is the life that you may have thought you wanted to lead before everything started with kids or husband, divorce, and whatnot. That this is like, it's work, but you can get there, but you have to do something and see it that it's available for you.
Yeah.
And so when I started, my website changed, my blog post changed, and I said, everybody's listening to podcasts in the car. Let's talk to my audience. And that also brought me to invite guests like you, Phyllis, and Rhonda on the side as well, because my guests share their challenges, but also their amazing wins at the end. And the purpose of the guests was, first off, I learn a lot. Okay, I'll be honest.
Yeah.
Every guest teaches me something about myself. And other women listening may relate to that and have somebody else they can reach out to. And they could say, oh, once they listen to Phyllis' podcast, and say, oh, maybe I should get that book. This is a great idea. Let me connect with her on Instagram or on Facebook so I can get more advice. Or I'm just in this community of supportive women that all have a common goal of igniting and pursuing their spark.
I think that's so beautiful. Awesome. And also what I love about your podcast is that the women's stories are so interesting, and they are all middle age and on up. And I think the point that we're trying to make is you're in your second chapter of your life. Your life doesn't end when your children grow up and go to college. That means it's your second chapter to figure out what you want to do with your life. And because we can be on this earth for another 40, 50 years after that. And what are you going to do? You're not going to sit around and cry over the fact that they're not little kids anymore, and you don't get to make their lunches every day and take them to school. It's like there's so much more. And I think it's weird. Like when I hit my 50s, I thought I was starting to feel like what I wanted to do, but still was kind of trying to figure it out. Now that I've hit my 60s, I definitely have a plan, and it's so invigorating knowing I don't have little kids that I have to worry about. I can do whatever I want now. So it's a freedom.
Yeah. Yeah. I like to call it seasons. I like to call it seasons. And, with each season, there's certain things that you have to let go of. But then when you step into the next season, there's a lot to look forward to. And I think that's what sometimes I know that it's kind of women my age. I'm 40. How old am I? Oh. I'm 46. I think I'm 46.
I was going to say 45. I was going to make you younger.
Thank you. I'm finding that a lot of my friends and those kinds of people their kids are going away to college, they're getting married, and it's really hard for the moms to let go. And you're just like, but the next season's beautiful. It's going to be beautiful. Like, don't just weep what happened, the past. Like, you have all those beautiful memories, but now this next season, you're going to have new memories and new things, Yeah.
When I think back, like when we talk about every 10 years, like in my 20s, I had no clue who I was and was planless, going around everywhere. In my 30s, I had my kids and raised my kids. In my 40s, I became a bodybuilder. In my 50s, I became a triathlete. So I'm not sure what's going to be in the 60s.
Yeah, wow.
Something amazing.
Yeah, right?
Oh, that is so good. So what would you say? Well, I want you to tell a little bit about becoming a Pilates breast cancer coach, because I listened to that one episode and I thought that was so interesting. That's my exercise of choice right now is Pilates. And I love it for older women because our bodies do change and we have to be careful about, sometimes some women can jump around. Personally, I can't jump around anymore, but I love the fact that Pilates gives a full workout. And I love the story that you talked about with the woman that came up to you in your yoga class one day. So can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. I never really thought about breast cancer survivors in the sense that I do now. I ran my very first race was the Susan Komen Race for Cure was a 5K, and that's probably by now 20 years ago.
Right.
And that was the first time I got more exposed to breast cancer and what it means. And over those years as being a trainer, women tended to, without knowing anything about me or I about them, tended to gravitate towards me looking for help. And at this point, that was before I was teaching Pilates. I was teaching yoga for 3 years and had to make a decision whether I wanted to go the yoga route or the Pilates route. And eventually I chose Pilates for various reasons. But I remember these women are in the class and they're all doing their exercises. And then there was the up dog, and this woman in the class just kind of looked at me and she's like, "Oh no, I can't lie on my stomach. I'm just like, my stomach is not so good," or whatever. I wasn't quite clear, but I was like, "All right, well, lie on your side." And then there were other exercises that she just wouldn't participate,
Right.
and there was physically nothing to see that you would say, "Oh, why can't she lie on her stomach?" Or why does she have trouble with these and these exercises? Like reaching backwards with her arm. And she was in the class and she made it through the end of the class, and I gave her options of things to do so she didn't feel singled out. And at the end of the class, she just came up and she said, "Thank you so much. I just want to tell you, I'm a breast cancer survivor. I had a mastectomy and I had implants now, and I have still the scars under my arms for where they removed the lymph nodes." And it just literally hit me in my face when this woman trusted me so much with such a massive surgery that is still downplayed by many doctors and oftentimes in society is seen as shameful and embarrassing, that she would trust me with my knowledge to help her and reveal her secret, so to speak.
Right.
And that just led me to that certification. I was like, now I'm teaching Pilates. I need to know how to do this better. I need to know more. I need to know more about the drugs that were being prescribed during those procedures. What is it with chemotherapy? When the skin is burned? What are all these things that come into play? But you still can exercise. But you need to do the right type and the right approach in the different phases of your recovery. And currently, I am personally working with three women that are long-time breast cancer recovery, and one of them just had another scare that potentially the cancer returned, and she went through more procedures. And fortunately, it's okay, but all these feelings come back up. And look at me, now I have all these scars. So it's like, yay, come on, you can do this. It's really awful, and it's really invasive on your body, and you're in pain, and you're ashamed, and there's no need to be ashamed. And here are ways for you to feel better, breathe better, and live a better quality of life. And it always, with Pilates, I find when there is an issue like that, it translates also into their everyday life. That they feel more confident, that they feel less ashamed, that they are more open about who they are, what they've gone through, and shared with others in turn.
That's beautiful. I've walked through several different friends that have gone through the breast cancer, and I will say it has been eye-opening for me to go to these doctor's appointments with them, and they're telling me in the waiting room how they can't lift their arms. Their movement is more restricted. I've been in offices where they were having reconstructive surgery, and so I've seen that up close. And it's a crazy thing to watch somebody go through that, because I don't think people understand, unless you've been through it, how embarrassing, painful it changes the whole dynamics of how you move, how you lift, everything. And so the fact that you can help them get any kind of movement back and also make them just feel good again I just applaud you for that.
That's awesome.
Thank you. It is my pleasure. And it's like I said, just women keep coming, and I'm like, there's got to be something about me. I don't know what it is, but
oh, I know what it is. You're amazing. You're so cute.
Oh.
You're like, your spirit is so wonderful. Like, I think you have a compassionate quality that they feel safe when they're with you. So that's important. So Heike, I have just a couple more questions. So what in your opinion would be the number one thing that women could do to stay healthy in your opinion?
To say me first. To put themselves first. It's not about the latest exercise program, not the latest nutrition program. We all know that we could eat healthier, need to exercise more perhaps. But it's the putting me first and doing something that's good for me. Mm-hmm. Again, going back to what we've talked about is that women always, almost without fail, put everybody else before their own needs.
So true.
That
So be selfish.
True. Yeah.
Take time for you. Go for that walk with your friend. Sign up for that exercise class. Go and take a language course. It's putting yourself first. Being selfish, I think, is one of, in my opinion, the key things for women to start saying, this is what I need, this is what I deserve, and I'm going to do it.
Wow, I feel like I've had Heike therapy today. I'm like, we were just talking about that.
Oh, sorry, Rhonda.
No, it's so awesome because we were just talking about that. Just while we were having a little bit of lunch here, we were talking about how, when things start to change and you start to get burnout, you start to feel that burnout, and it's hard to say no, and it's hard to
take care of yourself.
Take care of yourself and say, I need this time out.
Because you can't pour out to other people and your family until you're healthy yourself, like mentally, spiritually, physically, all of it. Yeah. So
and if you don't feel this way, you will never eat better. You will never.
That's so true. Yeah. Well, yeah, because then you're like junk eating because you're miserable, and so that leads to a whole nother thing. So last question is, what is your favorite hobby to do?
I would say travel and travel and being outside. These are my two favorite things in the world.
That's awesome.
So I've loved to travel, and I'm traveling as much as I can. And also my online business with the Pursue Your Spark allows me part of the time to do that as well. So I'm not here in Maryland with only my studio, but traveling and being outside. I mean, to me, it's basically, it doesn't matter what I do as long as I'm outside. I could garden, I could cut my bushes, I could go for a run, I bike, I hike. It doesn't matter. As long as I'm outside, I'm a happy camper. And I think that maybe comes also from the time where I grew up in the country. I love being outside.
Well, and being outside makes you feel good too. I mean, it's true. Like
sunshine,
sometimes if you're
fresh air,
when you get cooped up in the house,
or even if it's raining. Even if it's rain and snow, you bundle up and one of my favorite things in the winter is shoveling snow. My daughter used to make fun of me. I was like, let's go shovel snow. And she's like, Mom, you're nuts. I'm like, okay, well, it's so much fun.
I wouldn't advertise that. You might have people reaching out to you. You're going to have a new business on the side. Will you shovel me out of my garage?
My favorite thing to do in the wintertime is curl up with a blanket by the fireplace with a warm book and hot tea. Like, don't want to be outside.
And that's it. We live in California, so it's 75.
We don't even have snow. Well, Heike, it was so great to talk to you, and I'm so glad that we got to meet and have formed this new friendship. And so I just want to thank you for your time today.
So what do you think? Wasn't this a fun and educational or informative interview? I love sharing information. Women are so good at sharing. We are just masters of spreading information and knowledge. And Phyllis and Rhoda are no exception when it comes to that. So please reach out to us on the 24 Carat Conversations at Heike Yates and Pursue Your Spark podcast and Instagram, and let us know how we inspired you to take action or touched your mind, or you felt that we were there right with you. Let us know, and or just stop by and say hi and tell us that you listened to our interview today. So with that, that's it, my friends, today. And our next podcast is about self-care. We're talking self-care routines that nourish your mind and body and that you can do every day. So with that, have an awesome day and thanks for being here. I'll see you next time on the Pursue Your Spark podcast. Ciao.